we'll get started. A very warm welcome and a Kate Níla Fáilte to all our students. We have lots of students here this afternoon, and to my colleagues across UCC, and to guests from Cork City as well. It's great to have you here, particularly in these beautiful surroundings of the North Wing Council Room, which is at the heart of the UCC campus, which is looking much better today than it did earlier this week, given all the rain that we had. But this event promises to be a highly interesting discussion with our very special guest this afternoon, the Ambassador of Romania to Ireland. I was just thinking about your visit and about this particular lecture series, and it struck me that much of what we've been talking about during this lecture series over recent years has focused on Brexit, naturally. But what's interesting is that although we've spent a lot of time engaging with the question of Brexit, that has also meant a necessity on the part of the Irish state and Irish politicians to engage with other EU member states, including states across Central and Eastern Europe, in an effort to cultivate support and solidarity for Ireland's position on Brexit. But now, I suppose, as we face very profound challenges, particularly linked to the war in Ukraine, I think the need for Ireland, a very small country on the western periphery of the EU, to continue that engagement and to strengthen those relationships and to enhance our own knowledge and understanding of our friends and neighbours in Central and Eastern Europe becomes really ever more important. So for that reason, it's a particular pleasure to welcome you here this evening, Ambassador Ștefan. We're very grateful for your engagement on this subject because the Ambassador is going to talk about his home country, Romania, and its place in Europe and its relations with its European neighbours, both those inside and outside the European Union, and all the geopolitical and other challenges facing all of us as member states of the European Union. So just a couple of housekeeping issues before we start and before I introduce the Ambassador. We're recording today's lecture, and it will be made available next week on the UCC Jean Monnet lecture website. And the Ambassador has also kindly agreed to take questions after his lecture, so please do engage. I do also want to mention one very important housekeeping issue, and that's the funding which supports this lecture series. And I know the Ambassador will be familiar with the Erasmus Plus Jean Monnet programme, and that programme is something that the Department of Government and Politics has been very successful in being a part of, but it plays a hugely important role in allowing us to bring guests like the Ambassador to UCC, so we're very grateful for that support. Well, as I said, I'm very pleased to welcome Ambassador Ștefan to UCC today. I know you've been here before, so you are familiar. Just a few words about the Ambassador by way of introduction. He took up his office as Ambassador of Romania to Ireland on August 16th, 2021. He's a graduate of the University of Bucharest, and he also has an MPhil in Politics and Sociology of Modern Societies from the University of Cambridge in the UK, and a PhD from the SNSPA in Bucharest. His doctoral dissertation focused on the recruitment of political elites in post-communist Romania, and he's also a fellow of the Institute of Human Sciences in Vienna and of the New Europe College in Bucharest. Now, before he became an ambassador and a diplomat, he served as the senior presidential advisor for domestic political affairs for the Romanian President Klaus Iohannis. Iohannis. I knew I'd get one of these wrong. And Ambassador Ștefan has also previously worked for the US Embassy in Bucharest as their senior political specialist. And he was also a senior political analyst at MediaFacts, which is the most important Romanian news agency. He's currently an associate professor at the Faculty of Political Science, National University of Political Science and Public Administration. And he has a research CV that I'm very envious of, I must say. Lots of research projects and far too many publications to mention, including books and a whole series of journal articles. I don't know where you get the time, Ambassador, but
I don't know either.
It's really quite a CV, but also a wealth of experience and a wealth of expertise as well. So, Ambassador, we look forward to hearing your reflections today, and I'm delighted to invite you to deliver today's lecture.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really feel privileged to be here and to address such an audience on a Friday afternoon. So I wasn't hopeful that we can get as many people interested in Romania and European Romania, in the relationship between Romania and Ireland. So thank you, and I really appreciate. You know, I'm as you noted, I'm a professor, and of course I like to talk, and I like to talk a lot. But don't ask me to talk about Romania, because it will take hours and hours. So when I started putting my presentation, I was like a child in a large toy shop, because when you discover everything, and that was my feeling, that I want to talk to you about everything. So of course I selected a few things, and I promised to stick to whatever 25 minutes to have some time for questions. So we'll start with some maps, and we'll finish with vampires and then some bears. But at any time, really, that's my take in my classes. Do interrupt and raise hands if you want the clarification on the spot. I really do not mind. On the contrary, because it's about understanding, not about sending information to you. It's dialogue. So hopefully, if I raise your interest with a couple of slides, then we can interact formally, and even after the talk, I'm still available for questions. So, as an ambassador, of course, I like to speak and talk about my country to everybody. I'm talking to officials, local officials. I'll meet the Lord Mayor later on in the afternoon. I've been here at the university, and one of my missions is to engage universities, because I think at this level, students and faculty, if there are exchanges and if there are projects, I think we can move on together. So I'm so pleased to have Romanian fellows on the first round, and I want a special thank you for taking time to come and meet me. So I really appreciate that. So let's go down to business now. You have an idea where Romania is on the map, I hope. And now I really start with this map of the European Union, because more and more, for a couple of years at least, I have the feeling of a family. This is family, so that's my feeling. So when I take up my academic and my diplomatic codes, I really have this sense that anytime I'm with my Irish or Bulgarian or Croatian or French people, I'm family. I'm in family. So I've been invited to London a couple of years ago, immediately after the referendum of Brexit, and people almost were crying because someone was leading the family. So that was a strong feeling. So being in such a large family, we just mentioned that sometimes we are stuck in our regions, and of course I will talk about some of the issues in our region. Of course, the war in the region, rose the profile of Romania, and of course you have been stuck with Brexit and other issues, but the war brought us together, and I think more and more we are connected, and we are working together. So we may be at different parts of Europe. So you use the term periphery. So sometimes this is not a nice word, because when you say periphery, it's not important countries. I think we are important countries, and I'm here with the mission to bridge these countries. So if you look on the map, so if Romania and Ireland can bridge Europe, I think we can take on board all the other countries. So of course, as it was the case for Ireland, EU membership had a huge transformative impact. So the country is completely different, and the whole approach on issues. And what is important is that this freedom to travel allow people to simply choose their lives. And we have a couple of examples here, distinguished scholars that decided to build their careers here in Ireland, in Cork. So that's the outcome of this membership. And now I think we have more than 120,000 Romanians living in Ireland, which is their home now. And they are Romanians, they are Europeans, they are Irish. So we start to talk about multiple identities, multiple allegiances, and this is where you are, and this is what Europe brought us. Sorry, the other way around. Now, of course, you had your own issues with the Brexit, and you continue to discuss about the Windsor framework and everything else. So there are still issues to be addressed in our area. Of course, neighborhood is important, and it's a complex neighborhood because, for example, we have two EU member countries, Hungary and Bulgaria, but each of them and their relationship with Romania are particular one because Hungary has a large Hungarian minority, so that's sometimes the most important issue when we are engaged. And with Bulgaria, we share the Black Sea, so sometimes there are issues in this part of the border. We have a country from the Western Balkans, and if you have classes on how are the policies in the European Union, they kind of separate Western Balkans from the Eastern Partnership. So we have Serbia who wants to join the European Union at some point, but everybody knows that there are some strong connections with Moscow, so it's a bit of a complicated position in Europe at this point. On the other hand, we have Moldova, who is very special to us because we share the language and the history. And the very breaking news is the fact that the Moldovan parliament adopted legislation skipping and cancelling the term of Moldovan language and switching to Romanian language. So now they officially speak Romanian language. This is a whole issue, so I wouldn't get into this. But we are closer and closer in terms of cooperation, and we are the main supporters for their European integration efforts. And Ukraine as well. We have a largest border with Ukraine. I will talk about this a bit later. Also, a country who has this European perspective. So you can see, if we look east, we have some issues. If we look west, we have some issues. If we look south, there are some issues. So it's not easy to build this foreign policy. Of course, we do many things inside the European Union, but apart that, we have the Western Balkans and these two new countries that would like to join the European Union. Now, of course, we do this with our partners, with Ireland. We are like-minded in the enlargement, so I'm so happy Ireland is pushing hard to get deserving countries to get into the EU, and of course they are fully supporting both Ukraine and the Republic of Moldova to reform and to get there. What else? Well, a bit of history. So you see that's the map of Romania in the interior period. So there have been pieces, and I just put this not because I want to get back to Moldova, but because the greatest moment that is celebrated as our national day is 1918, when what used to be the kingdom of Romania, the blue and the yellow, enlarged to take on board by the will of the people. There have been referendums both in Bessarabia, the orange part in the east, and the other Transylvania, the grey, and the green Banat, Crișana. So there were referendums, and they decided to join the Kingdom of Romania. 1st of December 1918 was the last of these regions that Transylvania, which is the largest part, who decided with a large public assembly to join Romania. So that was the completion of the Romanian national state. Of course, the Second World War brought some tensions with our neighbors as well. So eventually, after the war, some regions like Bessarabia or Northern Bukovina have been left to what was then Soviet Union. Now part of Bessarabia is the Republic of Moldova, and the other two parts are now belonging to Ukraine. Okay. Historical landmarks are the moments when Romania joined NATO, 2004, and eventually EU. Of course, we had our revolution in December 1989. People of Romania made history, so we changed completely the regime, and we took a new course. And you have the dictator here who was executed in December that year. I will stop for a second to discuss a bit about francophone Romania. Je sais pas s'il y a des étudiants qui parlent en français. Oui, on a quelqu'un? Parce que nous sommes très fiers de notre francophonie et c'est la mois de la francophonie, c'est la dernière journée de la mois de la francophonie. La Roumanie cette année anniverse 30 ans depuis le moment que le pays est membre officiel de l'Organisation internationale de la francophonie. Okay, I got that. Not many could keep the pace with my poor French, but we are very proud, and there are many reasons. I listed some of them here. France was a strong supporter in building our nation state, and our elites, political and cultural elites, traveled to Paris, especially to get their training. And much more important, in the 19th century Europe, if you know a bit of history, France was the country of freedoms. So people were there to get this, to breathe this era of liberties and to the rule of law and to individual rights and everything. So that was a drive, and this drive was kept, and the relationship continued to be excellent. And even after the First World War and even after the Second World War, a number of intellectuals thrived basically in mostly in Paris. And myself, I was training in France for a while, and I have colleagues that are now established professors in Paris or Canada or Belgium. So we are proud of this dimension in our culture and history. That's the map, and there is a green. What a coincidence! A green island there on the map, and I'm glad that there is opening to the Francophonie world, and we can be together in this special world. We can see Romania is a center for Francophonie in Eastern Central Europe, and two important leaders of Europe, Romanian Klaus Iohannis and French President François Macron. The regional context is very difficult. Everybody is aware about the war, and the war continues, and we never know what developments are there. What is important to say when it comes to Romania is that Romania and all the West European officials until now, Romania has warned its European partners ever since 2014. Take care. Be ready. They are aggressive. Look what they've done in Crimea. Look what they've done in Ukraine. Look what they've done in Georgia in 2008. They won't stop here. We continue. We organize conferences about the Black Sea security. So we thought Romania was a strong voice in NATO, trying to rebalance a little bit because, there was a kind of a reset when Obama came to power. But a lot of energy project with Russia, even after Crimea was occupied. So we didn't think that's the correct approach. So we continue to pressure to get more troops, more attention to the Black Sea region and to the eastern flank. What we've done in this context was to strengthen the partnership with the United States, which is a strong strategic partnership and has a strong military and security dimension. And in this context, I will talk a bit on these very, very interesting and very specific initiatives called Bucharest 9 and 3Cs. These are regional formats. So Bucharest 9, let me see if I have. Yes, Bucharest 9 is this organization of 9 countries of the western flank of Europe and NATO. So it emerged clearly as a response to the Russian annexation of Crimea, and it was established to strengthen the voice of all these countries. If any country is talking to Washington, to Paris, to London, it's one thing. But when 9 countries are speaking the same voice and with the same message to these important European and North Atlantic capitals, it makes a difference. And this format took a lot of importance, and in the last 2 summits, especially after the war, President Biden was invited virtually in Bucharest, and he attended in person in Poland last year. And as we speak, there is a meeting of the Minister of Foreign Affairs in Poland about this also. This is a very formative, a lot of cooperation, and as you can imagine, it's not only about political messages, but also about practical matters, how to help Ukraine, how to help Moldova, military, economic, and in all these dimensions. There is another initiative, 3C's initiative. Yes, it has mostly an economic dimension, and there is a focus on infrastructure. So what we realize is Romania and other countries, sometimes they look west, so we try to connect rather with the greatest countries in Europe, but we forget sometime to the regional importance. So I think that's the new development in our part of the world, that we started to learn to cooperate on a regional level. So I told you about this format B9, and this is another format that it's extremely successful. It has an economic dimension, and there's a focus on infrastructure. Let's connect our countries by road, by sea. Let's invest. Let's raise the status and the level of the region. So there are major projects, and I'm happy to say that Romania will host the new summit. It will take place in Bucharest in September. So there is a financial and funding dimension as well. But again, that shows that these countries in this part of Europe, especially and probably given the aggression of Russia and the tendencies of Russia to get involved and to undermine the sovereignty of these states, they thought, on top of being part of NATO and the European Union, let's work together, and that's what I would take out of this presentation, if nothing else. Okay. In the meantime, of course, NATO increased the military presence, so now there are 8 battalions. There have been 4 in the northern part of the eastern flank. There are now 4 in the southern part of the eastern flank. So there are many details, of course. I wouldn't take too much time with all these details. Now, as you know, Romania is on the front line. We have a long border with Ukraine, 600 kilometers. So we've been there from the very first day. And when I say we, I mean the state, local authorities, NGOs, and people. So they've been very welcoming. So there was no hesitation whatsoever. And we just took a picture with people waiting at the border to show their willingness to help Ukrainians who are coming to Romania. So basically figures from the beginning of this year. Look how many, more than 3 million crossed the borders in Romania. More than 100,000 decided to stay, and almost half of them are children. So you can imagine all these challenges, right? So what we have is a structure at the level of the Chancellor, of the Prime Minister, that deals with all these issues: health, education, labor, because we encourage them to get jobs. We put children in school. We provide housing. And of course, there are vulnerable categories like people with disabilities and others that are taken care of. Now, that was the serious part of my presentation. So I'm looking at my watch, and I hope to bring some smiles now with the help with my colleagues that provided me with the slides. Let me encourage you to come to Romania, and of course. We like to sell Romania as a touristic destination, so I know not many Irish people travel to that part of Europe, but there are connections, flight connections, direct connections from Dublin to major Romanian cities. So do take a cheap ticket, a Ryanair ticket, and go to Cluj or Iași or Bucharest. So Timișoara has to be visited this year because it's a European capital cultural, and it's a really beautiful city. It's in the heart of Banat, of what you see here in the west of Romania. And Banat is a very special region inside of Romania because it's a melting pot of religions, of minorities. So you'll have there Serbs, Bulgarians, Jews, Italians, everything is there. So if you want to find a minority in Romania, you will find it there. Bulgarians from Banat, Italians, Croatians, whatever. They are all there, and you can imagine all the religions. in the churches. So it's a multicultural region that used to be part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This is why some of the buildings have this image of Austrian buildings, but you are fully encouraged to go there. So we simply picked some of the pictures. There are many. I told you I could spend hours in talking about Romanian history, but we have a beautiful token of the involvement of Romanian kings. We've been a kingdom between 1881 and 1947. So for a pretty large period of time, given our short history as a modern state, and kings have been, although coming from Germany, from southern Germany, they were dedicated, and we've been proud of what they've done for our country. So they left this palace castle, who is now owned by the royal family. It's not that far from Bucharest, so if you land in Otopeni, in 1 hour and a half you are in the castle. So, and half an hour up north is the Bran castle, the castle of Dracula. So you can check 3 boxes in one day. So if you like. Now my colleagues at the embassy put some fun facts about Romania. I promise I will make you smile at the end. So some cold figures with Romania being one of the largest countries in Europe. Of course, Bucharest is the capital, and look at that I would say ugly building. You know, opinions are different. Tourists used to like to be in awe because it's huge, it's impressive. It was built by Ceausescu, the former dictator. It was built on a nice neighborhood, so he put down all the old buildings, churches, hospitals, to build this new complex that is dominated by this, what is called the House of the Parliament. It used to be, ironically and cynically, the House of the People before '89. It's ironic and cynical because, of course, he wanted to dominate, because there is a balcony there, and once you are in the balcony, you dominate a market, and that can be easily filled with at least 1 million people. So it's not about people in the castle, but people dominated by the castle. Okay, and a lot of nature. So if you like bird watching, or fishing, or hiking, or skiing, we have the mountains, we have the Danube Delta, salt mines, and I told you about the bears. So yes, really, it's only half of joke, because you can really meet some bears. So it's a bit dangerous. So we may make fun, and some tourists do take this adventure in, where can I see a bear? So and yeah, it's there, just got down from the mountains, but it's not a joke. It's a bit dangerous. So the number of bears, because they've been protected, has increased over the years, and they are going down in the villages. So they do some damage sometimes. And now that's the link between Ireland and Romania, and especially Transylvania, because how come that an Irish writer made famous Transylvania and Romania by placing Dracula in that land of vampires? And of course, as you hopefully know, there was a Romanian voivode that was an inspiration for Dracula, because he was part of the member of the Dragon. So Dragon Dracula, it was an easy switch, and that's how Romanian Transylvania became famous. I told you about this castle close to Brașov and to Peleș, the Bran castle. It's traditionally associated with Dracula. Let's pretend Dracula was there. There is no evidence about that. If you read the novel, the first mention is about Bistrița. Bistrița, it's somewhere northern in Transylvania. I know you want more, but let's stop here.
Thank you.
Thank you.